What's on YouTube? You know how it should be. What's on YouTube? You know how it should be. Who's that? You don't know.
Yeah, push on a 10-second delay.
Oh, it's like, just in case, like, that's not right. I didn't see it again. Excuse me. Are we live, ladies?
Yes.
Oh, all right, we'll call the meeting over at 8:37. Start with the privilege of the floor. I don't believe we have anybody or anything for that, correct? All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is the meetings from the previous board meeting on March 6th. Everybody get a chance to take a look. Any questions, concerns?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Herb,
Done.
Jerry second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll go to the financials.
Okay, so this is your calendar year through the end of February. At this point, all of our pilot payments have been sent out, so all that money that came in has been dispersed. Keep scrolling down, Kaylee. No other major, items there. We did have the pilot admin fee for McRes came in. So that was a little boost. Down with Haley, statement of activity, everybody's, not in February, but in March. Let's see, second place did make a couple of payments on the property. We had extended their payments for equipment until May, but they have started to make some payments on property that they were behind, so seems like they're getting there to catch up. Going down, Kaylee, net income obviously is really low because of pilot payments that came in December, January that didn't go out for February. Obviously, there's a lot of pilot payments in there, so that's why those numbers are so big. Other just vendor expense that was kind of large for us, the Mount Vernon fire insurance, it's our liability policy, and then National Grid is a big one. That was our final payment for the Harrisville Bank property. That's all been switched over at this point to changing rock. Keep going down, Kaylee, I think that's it. Yep.
You're paying $1,000 a month in electric on that?
No, that was like November through February.
Oh, okay.
It was, yeah, it was, I actually had called because I started thinking, wait, I haven't gotten a bill for the Harrisville Bank property, so what's going on? And this was right before closing happened. I thought, what if they've shut the electric off because we haven't paid a bill and everything's burst in there? And we're gonna have a nightmare. So I called, they had been sending it to the bank instead of to us. So there's no post office box in the bank and we don't have a PO box up there or anything. So I don't know where it went. Glad I called because I had paid $700 to catch it up. And then the November through closing was a little over $1,000. So yeah, glad to get rid of that one.
Cause with all that snow, we had to make sure the heat was on and almost warm.
Yeah. But yes, we did get the check for the bank property as well in February, so that's all closed out on our end of things. Any other questions?
What's New York class paying still, do you know?
The daily rate yesterday when I checked was 3.57.
Good.
Yeah, so it's a little more than what our CDs are. Our CDs aren't maturing until June. And I think maybe when they do mature, depending on the rates we get there versus what it's looking like, we can somewhat forecast what New York class is gonna be. Is it better just to put that money into a higher earning account? I don't know what the reason, maybe the CDs at that time were getting better interest than New York class, which is
They
why
were.
they did it, yeah, okay. So kind of reevaluate that at the end of May or,
And one of the things that's doing it, take the variability of the rate out of the rates.
yeah.
Well, do we take the interest and put it in a separate account or does it just go into a general?
It's not, so the interest that's in New York class is accumulating in that account, so
Oh,
it's
it's
it's compounding,
Okay.
yeah.
I noticed it's at 15,000, was that the same as the number that's being compounded or that's the one that's being given to us?
15 in interest for New York class.
Well, it didn't say New York class, it just said interest.
So interest is going to be all of our bank account
Got it.
interest.
Okay,
I don't know, let me just go in here and look for you, which one that was, earlier statement of activity.
It was above, a couple of things above. Right there. IDA bank accounts interest, 15,500.
Yes, so that is all of our bank accounts,
Okay, including the New York class.
yes,
Okay,
yeah, just interest that we earn. We have separate interest line items for like our installment sales,
Yeah.
so that's about $10,000 year to date.
okay,
But yeah, overall on the year, I guess kind of varies depending how much money we're holding and where we're holding it, but for a calendar year, you guys typically get about $50,000 in total interest,
okay,
in all of those accounts.
got it.
And that's including the CDs too, which the CDs, we only account for that interest twice a year when they're maturing.
Okay, so, sorry for the
Yeah, that's okay.
questions, but so when you show the balance of the New York class. Are you showing the balance without the interest and the interest is shown here, or are you showing it with the interest?
So-
in this chunk?
Yep, so in New York class, that account total that you're seeing was $1,462,000. That is with interest, that's the balance of those accounts,
Yeah.
including the interest.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that interest isn't projected on that now. Okay, fair, just wanted to make sure it wasn't double counted.
Yep.
What are the payments for Rutland Champion and Jefferson County?
For what we sent to them.
Well, I'm not concerned about the dollar amount, what are they for?
Oh, so therefore, we have, there's I believe it's a solar project that crosses over, we handle a pilot on that. But because it's in Lewis County, well, that project borders them, so we administer pilot payments to those for that solar project.
I figured that was it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head which project it is, but it look here for you. And AES, that other proposed solar project, that's another one where we're gonna be issuing some Wilma Champion, those areas based on that. That's the Copenhagen wind project, sorry.
Okay. Any questions on financials? I'll take a motion to approve.
So,
Jerry,
I'll second.
Herb. All in favor?
Right.
Alright, there's the budget.
Yes, budget, so
Sorry,
no, it's okay.
8:45, we're supposed to be speaking to.
If he logs on,
We'll know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Zoom, Keely, if anybody joins that. I'll open up that window.
I just see one. So budget, again, being new in this position, this technically should have been reviewed with you guys back in February or March at the latest, but I didn't realize the deadline in the Paris reporting system was when it was for budgets to be submitted and approved, so I'm a little late getting this to you and I apologize. But this is, again, these first 2 pages are going to show you what was approved for the 25-26, what we're projecting for 25-26, and then the third column there is the proposed budget for 26-27. Keely, you might wanna just, zoom in on that.
There you go.
Start to zoom.
Beautiful. No, they're
Good.
Yeah.
So no major changes, I will say in 26, that is the last year of the admin fee for number 3 wind. That payment for them was spread out over the course of, I believe it was 5 or 6 years. So that's the last year that we're getting that payment from them. And then there's really no major differences in this one. I was obviously referencing past years for this, in creating it. And then what I know we have on the books, especially with our loans and things like that, as people are paying more towards principal and more towards, or less towards interest, but keep scrolling down a little bit. So some of the operating revenue, the TRI, that's obviously a big jump. That is for the remodel, the New York State grant, that we have to remodel the building that we occupy. Keep going down, really. You will see, keep going down just a touch more for me, Keely, so right there in we obviously have that expense of also renovating our building. And then I included in that if we move forward with the redemption center purchase. And then we have still the McRes, which we're waiting on final permitting from him before we move forward on that installment sale. So not losing as much, I guess, overall, but we do have still a loss showing for the next calendar year.
Why are you staying steady at 5,000 for legal if you ended up at 9,500 this year?
So I think the biggest difference that's gonna come from that is depending on if we have another property sale. We also this year received, I have a check for somebody to review and an invoice to review, so Campy McCardle Randall. It's high because we have 2 years of invoices to pay for them that I just received, so typically we would be around $5,000 a year. It's hitting us in this calendar year that we have 2 years to pay.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's the reason for that. And we are still on the lookout for an IDA attorney to step in full time. But yeah, she got, it's kind of a surprise bill to get. So that is the proposed budget for, again, this next fiscal year for us. Kelly, if you wanna scroll down, so in my projections for the next several years, these are assuming, there's 3 large pilot projects in the works, for energy projects. And then one, I guess I would say a normal pilot project for us. I'll stay up above just a quick second for me. So, with that, these are projections assuming those happen in the calendar years that they're proposed to happen, to have a pilot in place. I would think with the large one, which is HydroStore, that might be another situation where they wanna spread that admin fee out over several years. But either way, there will be a big jump, assuming those 3 large ones come into play in the next 3 years here in our county. Go down some. Yeah, again, just kind of taking into account how much money we would have in the bank and what sort of interest we'd be earning on it. Going down. New York class, obviously I would be expecting that to grow in interest that we're earning if we're putting that much money into it to grow. And also something that if we are getting that much by that end there in 29-30, maybe we think of other investment opportunities with that money. I have to look a little bit more into what we can do as an IDA for interest earning, but probably not much, yeah, well. Maybe something will change by then. And then expenditures, again, kind of hard to project out that far, not fully knowing what's gonna come on the table, but with the staff service contract, as part of that is based on the annual admin fee and how that's dispersed over the long term. With HydroStore, Cassie had mentioned they'd likely be looking for a 50-year pilot, so that gets extended a bit further for us. So it's not as large of a number every single year moving forward. Keep going down, Keely.
Wait, do you have a budget without these 3 projects?
Without those 3, I can show you one without just to see what it looks like, yeah.
Since we don't know.
Yeah, and then again, no huge changes. Some of the obviously projected expenses we haven't really tapped into a lot as far as the consulting items go, or the contracted project management line items, so I guess that really just depends on what other projects we have in the works here from the IDA as to what we spend on that. I did bump up our legal on some of these so that if we do have items that we need real estate attorneys involved and more local things, that we've got the extra value there for it. And then, yeah, I didn't change too much as far as the non-operating expenditures in those years. I think the only thing I would anticipate is that DRI getting spread out over a couple years, if that doesn't wrap up in 26, 27, that might roll over some to 27, 28. But that's, again, rough idea if those projects happen. I can show you what it would look like without, or maybe with just a couple. It does sound from conversations that we've had that things are moving forward on at least the energy storage line of things.
Yep, we should. I mean, it's all dependent on the awards that are hopefully made this month.
But Hydrostore has already worked with the host municipality on the zoning capabilities, so after the announcement, if they are awarded, the next step would be to go to permitting and boring, they would start with the boring, which is $1 million-ish. So hopefully by the end of the summer or early fall, you're able to get a better idea of where they are on the project, and it'll move pretty quickly at that point. The AES is pretty much a shoe-in. Have they contacted you guys yet? Okay, cause I know that they've contacted Tom Calmus, who had told them, no, you need to go to the IDA, okay, that is your next step.
Yeah.
So they are very well aware, and I believe that the supervisor was contacted as well, so, the state has pretty much given them the permit without the official permit yet. So the AES project should be moving forward for the next year.
And just so the board's aware, April 21st, I'm just gonna throw this out there for anybody that wants to sit in on the conversation. Mike Young is the local representation for Hydrostore in the area, and he had reached out to schedule a sit down with us at Naturally Lewis, but both Roxanne and Joanne are gonna be at a Brownfield Summit down in Herkimer that day, so I'm planning to sit with them and talk to them and just answer questions they might have, so if there's any member of the board that wants to join in on that meeting, just to be part of that discussion, so we have a couple sets of ears as to what's going on and kind of be on the same page, so we can talk to the board meeting in May about how that conversation went and what they're proposing and things of that nature.
Can you send out a, like, for that kid, I can check to see if somebody joined, what time is it?
He didn't get back to me yet, I'm guessing late morning is kind of what he was proposing. They're coming to town, I believe on the 20th, just to have some other meetings in the evening. I don't know if they're doing any sort of board meetings or
I haven't-
town meetings.
I haven't heard, I know that that's probably the same day as the Tar Heel government conference, so I won't be in town,
Okay.
most of.
I don't even know if it's a higher up that's looking at a site visit sort of thing there, but the 21st late morning is the rough idea that like Young gave me, so once I get a definite time, I can let you guys know.
Well, so what's the point of that meeting?
I don't really know yet, to be honest, I'm guessing we haven't had a conversation with them at all yet about a pilot, they haven't approached us for that conversation, so. I'm guessing it might be more what the pilot process looks like. And I tend to, I mean, the energy dome conversation I had was kind of direct them to all the resources that are on our website with our UTEP and application, and this is what it looks like. So they can kind of be responsible for getting that looked at.
Do you know off the top of your head, what kind of water usage this project would take and what kind of heat it would generate and how it would be dissipated?
Right, so I don't fully know, but we sat in on a webinar Tuesday night. There was, and I'll forward that email to you guys too about it, if anybody wasn't on it or interested, but
That was Tokyo Commission.
it was the Tokyo Commission had a joint session with NYSERDA, and then there was a gentleman who was the scientist behind all sorts of different alternative energy. No, he was, the guy from Binghamton was.
Right.
But yeah, so he had a really, I mean, in-depth breakdown of what all of these different storage projects look like with batteries and hydro and so and his team, I mean, he was included in that to reach out for more specific questions. He was very in-depth on the science part. I mean, some of it was over my head listening, I was like, wow, yeah, this kind of knows what he's talking about.
But it was every single type of energy storage project that we hear about was the science behind it.
Yeah.
And then also recommendations for the municipalities for layering, like zoning and other things. It was dry to listen to, but it was very informative. And then they sent us the presentation, so we have that as a reference. It includes links to different things too.
And they, Tokyo Commission taped it, put it on their YouTube.
They did, yeah.
So the initial conversations that we had with Hydrostore, which I don't foresee this aspect changing when it comes to water usage, but the only water usage that I believe that they came in to need were basically for the office bathrooms. When it comes to the actual water needed for the reservoir, because it's a very substantial reservoir. At the beginning, they told us that they were bringing in that water, they weren't going to take it from the aquifer, from the ground in Croton at the site, it would be brought in. Whether or not that has changed is to be determined.
Think we're bringing that much water. And from where?
Yeah, we had a random call from a outfit in North Carolina asking about details, we're like, well, what are you referring to? And they referred to the HydroStore project, but when we had contacted HydroStore, they're like, we didn't contact them, so I don't know if they were lining up to do the delivery, I don't know. But those concerns were raised during the public engagement sessions that we had early last year, about where they gonna bring the water for the rest of it.
And not to mention, if my understanding is correct, the water's there for cooling, right? So you anticipate some part evaporating, but it probably gets recycled 80% of it.
So for the A case project, it's mainly there to move the energy.
Oh, as a weight to
Yep.
count it.
Yep.
It pushes the air out.
Yep.
Turn the turbine.
Yep.
Close, which you don't need a lot more, like if
Right.
you come into the truck would be.
Right, beyond evaporation,
Yeah.
you're not going to need to replace that.
Yeah.
As much
In
as.
terms of like energy storage, honestly, I think it's probably the cleanest way to go.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
It seems like the safest and clearest, it's kind of crazy though, like large caverns, I think that's the hardest part traveling.
1,000 years from now is our, like, you know, descendants are gonna be like,
Exactly.
these caves, they used to be.
Yeah, that's the wild part, but looking at, you know, the battery, the lithium ion, the zinc, it still seems to be the same spec.
So with the budget, a motion, I guess, if there's any questions, let me know, I can modify the projected if we wanna look at that, what that looks like without any projects whatsoever happening in our area. But I do at least need approval on the first 2 pages, so I can get this all finalized and.
I'll make that motion.
Jess,
1 second.
Herb, all in favor? Aye. Yeah, I'd love to see one
Yeah,
without,
without.
again, not that that's as realistic as this, neither is, we should
Yeah.
be somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
I'd rather have a worst case scenario assumptions
Yep.
looked at.
Yep.
Okay, well, the gentleman's not here, right?
No,
Okay. Okay, alright, so we move on.
okay, so the purchase contract, I had talked about this some at the last meeting. Getting something in place for any real estate that we decide to transfer, especially real estate that has an improvement on it, any type of structure. We spent a lot of time on the Harrisville Bank property with multiple site visits and things like that that really weren't necessary. And were a waste of time overall for, I know it's mostly Joanne because she lives there and she could do it on the way home, but it still becomes a bit of a time suck, so. I wrote this up, sent it to Jess to review, made some changes based on her recommendations. But it's just something even if it's a property that we have 3 potential bids on and we, you know, go through the justification of what's gonna have the greatest impact and we pick one. Getting this signed and in place with a deposit helps also, so people aren't just backing out last minute on a project that we've potentially lost on other buyers for. And again, something that's in writing that clearly outlines how the transaction will work. Timelines, deed transfers, things of that. So there's less muddy water and gray areas in any real estate transfers that we have moving forward, and there's clear expectation from both parties with how it's gonna work.
What would the deposit be, you know, or?
I don't know if I actually specifically set a number, I think we're more like gonna look at the type of property, the expense of the property, and maybe that's something when we do pick an offer.
Oh, so we
decide-
determine on a case by case.
We determine case by case, yeah.
The general rule is if it's cash, we want 10% down, or you need proof of funds, the more contingencies in there is where we kind of look at.
Which makes sense, yes.
So just looking, if there's any questions, happy to answer them. I did have an attorney's eyes on this at least, so she said it looked okay. But again, just something moving forward, so we have something in place on any property transfers that might happen to.
It doesn't mean this is what we're gonna get.
Right.
The buyer presents purchase offer, but at least they have a template of what.
Do we have to approve this?
I would think so, just so we can use it moving forward.
Take a motion to approve,
I'll make that motion.
alright, Jerry seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
And we have somebody to blame if it's nothing.
Oh, I asked her first off, would you not look at this?
Alright, then we have. The director report, Diane,
So we, Ashley Lewis,
excuse
a grant through the Digital Center at Clarkson University, and Jenna has really been doing most of the work behind that, so I'm gonna let Jenna explain. Sure.
So Clarkson Shipley Center is the innovation center for the North Country, they're designated by the state. And they put out an RFP for these entrepreneurship meetups around the North Country and awarded, I think, 6 different counties to do these, so we were awarded. It's $900 for every meetup that we host, and we can do up to 6 of them. And they gave us the draft agenda to utilize, so the format is really networking, interviewing a featured founder, so a small business owner that's done cool things in the community. And then somebody from the audience also takes the hot seat, and tells about challenges that they're having as well. So it's an opportunity for entrepreneurs to get together and figure their successes and challenges. And it's a spin on our coffee and connections that we've been doing monthly. It's gonna expand on that.
It's really nice.
Our first one will be next Friday. Working on securing a future founder hopefully today. For maybe reach out to
Okay.
for the Harrisville.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really great. I'm actually selfishly excited about it with my new role. I think it'll be a really cool way to get people together in the community, and to just because it is a lonely road when you're in entrepreneurship, and this is what it's all about, is bringing people together.
Smart head for membership as well. We hosted our business and community leaders breakfast recently at the, well, I keep calling it bowling alley, which it is. What is it?
Lewis
I
Place.
wanna call it Loud Lewis, I know, sorry. But they really did a fantastic job. They had a beautiful breakfast, they had fresh flowers on the tables, the panelists were very engaging, it was exciting conversation. The parking lot was packed, people were parking out by the road. The roundtable discussions, the topic was going through what you're going through. And we really were able to take a lot of the information that we got from those conversations to use as we move forward, even with the entrepreneurship meetings and the manufacturers alliance that Julie and I are currently working with the Jefferson County IDA for that in on April 29th. The same idea, every business in our changing world is going through some growing pains, and how can we lift each other and support each other and offer each other suggestions for moving forward.
I think you're going to see more and more need of that, and we're headed as a pattern that I can impact. Self-sufficiency in the county, and every county is going to become, it's going to be necessary. So these people will need resources, from supply chain disruptions to cost increases to whatnot. And it really worries me about the future of small businesses that are right in the margin. These are wonderful to have, and probably need to have more of them, that provide support and education of what's out there.
And I think that a business that we've been speaking about recently, the increased support we've offered them and the education part of that has been really important, because we were worried about them, and now we see them almost immediately doing exponentially better than they were even a few months ago. So it's proven that these education programs works.
What would you say is the number one thing in your assessment of why are they on the cusp of failure? Is it poor fiscal management? Or is it, what is that in your opinion? And that's for everybody, the staff here. Like, what do you think the biggest struggle is that these businesses are suffering from?
I heard marketing and visibility brought up at a lot of tables, and staffing.
No doubt.
Those are
Marketing,
two
yeah.
big issues that we just kept hearing people have conversations.
And marketing, I've been trying that this for 10 years. I've been
here. That it's always still who you know rather than proper place for announcements, and so, yeah.
I would agree with that, in my personal business of Hay Rocks, what I have found is so many of your startups are legit like this. I had a good time doing this in my garage. We'll start a business, and now that it's an actual business, taking it from almost like a hobby little side hustle to primary is like, it's really a hard bridge to cross for some people. Used to 3-4 people kind of messing around to now having 10-15, they're just like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing now, because there's, you know, it's like herding cats for them. There's no processes there, there's no safeguards, they're very used to just, it worked, we'll fix that. You want that? Sure, I can do that, and by the time they're done trying to build their population that they're working with, they're so diverse that they're spread too thin. They're trying too hard to make them.
Plans to do the formation of the corporations in Belmont. We find it's people with hobbies.
Yeah.
And it's like they have a passion for the work, but they don't understand how to operate it though.
Correct.
How to
That's-
monetize it properly.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
so they have the passion to produce whatever product they want, but they don't have the business sense behind it.
Yeah.
To actually turn it profitable and.
Well, that's what I see as our opportunity to provide that business sense to people, right? Because if that's what they're looking for, failing marketing and the education.
We have a member from SBDC coming to the office all day next Wednesday she's gonna be in. So if anybody knows of anybody that needs a little hand and help, then let us know, we can get them in to talk with her and. Try to, again, I think that's, for me, I feel the education of how to run a business, and it's not just, I know how to do this, but. Do you know about the taxes? Do you know about the payroll liabilities and all these other hidden expenses that you don't foresee until the bills start hitting and you're like, oh, you know. So.
I think what I've seen the most is exactly what Jess is saying, but trying to connect them with a team of people, because a lot of people try to do everything themselves.
Sure.
And they don't have to,
Yeah.
but a lot of it is planning too,
Yeah.
like. If you're not gonna do it yourself, then you have to plan to pay for that.
Right.
You have to plan to pay for payroll, you have to plan to pay for somebody to do your taxes, you have to plan for all of these expenses if you are not gonna be able to do it.
Workers' comp is the one getting everywhere right now.
So is employee classification, they do not understand that.
Right, I have so many clients right now where we go to do something and they have a workers' comp judgment because that all of a sudden shows up and they didn't set the money aside for it.
What does that mean? What do you mean by that? Yes, I don't understand.
We do an audit each year for your workers' comp and
Okay.
you prepay into it, but
Okay.
it's based on your actual employee wages.
Okay.
So yes, there's the game about, oh, they're not an employee, we're all 1099. That doesn't fly actually.
Okay.
But so what they'll do is when they're prepaying for workers' comp, they'll say they're only paying 50,000 out of wages.
Okay.
So they only prepay like $400.
Okay.
And when you do your audit at the end of the year, all of a sudden you have this huge payment that you need to
Because you
pay
made more.
for, you have to
It's based
pay
on
last year's, but then you're prepaying for the next year's too.
Okay.
And then they can't pay it. So then there's penalties and all of that, and that is the one that we are finding is the first one that comes up as a judgment, is workers' comp. And then everything else just spirals from there.
And we're fortunate, we have a really good relationship with our insurance agent, and every contract that we have, even like the one with the Shipley Center. Sometimes they're in DRI, there are insurance requirements along with those, and he comes right to our office and explains everything to us, the why we need to do that, and it's very helpful.
Do we have something, so for example, if I wanted to start a business, if I come to the IDA or National News, do we have a packet, like 101?
We
This
would
is
direct you to our intake form so that we can sit with you.
Yes.
But yeah, no, there's a form under that you tell us everything about what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
We schedule a time to bring you, so
Okay,
we can like
okay.
pre-curse ourselves with what you need,
Okay.
so we know what tools to provide.
okay,
To point you in those directions and
okay,
making the connections to other people to help.
okay,
We have generic resources, but
Yeah.
the benefit of doing that,
right,
of having an intake form is to offer that one-on-one
got
assistance.
it,
Like,
right, okay,
if you're starting a food truck business, we're gonna point you towards all the resources that you need for that specific
Yeah,
business.
fantastic,
If it's, an agriculture business, it's gonna be totally different.
yeah, of course, okay, got it.
And that's another reason that SBDC will be coming to us, because then we can work together
Okay.
and save them a trip. else?
As an attorney, that's where I lose people, because when I tell them they have to do the small business stuff.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah,
and
that's
that's,
when I,
that's what we've heard, they're like, well, we went there, and I'm like, right, but now we're here, so you have to go back because your plan is changing.
and they just,
If they, yeah, and then that's the point where if they're not willing to do the work, then they're not gonna be successful, right? And that's
why I lose
part of
when you're
our
a business
job
plan.
too, is helping filter those people through that are not ready, because that saves us all money in the future too, and then.
So as you may have realized, we're going through a little bit of a transition. And when I very first started, Kaylee created, well, I don't know if she created it, but she said to me, we're going to do some immersion days. So I would go out into the community to meet with different people in different towns. Business people, either members or people who are not members. Community leaders, legislators, manufacturers. So I did that in the town of Diana because that's where I live, so that was my comfort level. But then we had some other things, and then winter came, so we paused that for a little bit. Now that we have a new staff, we are going back out to do the same thing. So Keely, Roxanne and I are going to Krogan because that's where they live, so that's their comfort level. But we want to introduce the familiar faces in their new roles and talk to, like I said, different business leaders. To either encourage, talk to them about their membership. That here's our face, this is who we are, what can we do for you, what's going well? And then talk to some businesses who maybe are not members and encourage them to join and come in and meet with us other times. And then we're just gonna continue to go around the county, and maybe all of us will go, maybe one of us will go, depending on what the needs of that individual community are.
You go on Fridays, take notes, go to us.
You want something done?
Unless we're stepping on somebody's toes. Stop at the truck. Maybe we'll stop at your house and drop one off.
I would eat them all.
We've received multiple applications for both our administrative specialist and director of programs and partnerships positions. We have been interviewing, really back up at the top, I think. No, it's not.
right here, oh, is it that, right here?
Yep, sort of jumped in the middle. So every day moving a little bit closer, very hopeful. It's actually exciting, the overwhelming number of applications that we've received. And not only the number of applications, but good applications. People know what they're applying for, they're qualified, they're excited to come. So this is a really good problem to have. Actually, the same thing with for Naturally Lewis IDA and NBC board member recruitment. We've received more applications than we have seats, which is nice. So with the Naturally Lewis, we decided to have second interviews with some candidates. Just because we wanna make sure we're inviting IDA and LCDC board members to join us, so we can say, well, this is what this person's interest level is, maybe they want to be on committees and join things like. One person we have, it's built into their role, the expectation is that this position will join community boards. Because they are also a community service position, so how can I best serve my community? Well, by being on other boards. So that's exciting too, so we just wanna make sure that we're putting the right people in the right places so they can have the biggest impact. And our boards can receive the biggest benefit. So we may tap some of you to be on some interview committees just to sort of share some things. Oh, Roxanne and I are going to the Brownfield Development Summit. Megan and Roxanne recently met with a videographer to do a tour of the Lions Falls Mill site. And so we're going to make Megan famous because she was our tour guide.
I thought it was, I said, I'll narrate it, that's fine, I don't mind talking about it. And I get there and I'm on camera and I thought, this is not what I signed up for. So yeah, it was interesting, but we'll see how it goes.
So people get their autograph. Do it.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure.
What their plan is to create at this conference an immersion room. So you'll go in and you'll see all these tours of all these places, and it will be going around you, you can tour the whole. Mohawk Valley regions, Brownfield site, so.
Is it in the room?
Yeah,
You know, there were 360 videos that he was doing at multiple points on that site. not the best site to highlight, I feel, but it's what we had, but yeah, so. I hope it goes well, I think it'll definitely help get the exposure out there for the Lions Falls Mill site. Being spring, that I finally got to walk that, I realized kind of the shape that that site was in overall with all of the rubble that's there. So I don't know what would be best suited for any sort of development there.
Taking a gummy before you go into immersion.
I'm not going for that experience. That's why I said, I feel myself, see myself on the street, so I'll volunteers.
I'm super excited for it, because I thought you did a bang of job.
We're not 100% sure, but we're like 99% sure that after the conference that we will get the copies of that video, so it'd be nice to be able to have that. Yeah. Yes. But, so we're excited about that. We're also having an information table and we're pretty excited to go to this conference and meet. I've met a few people, but it'll be nice for both of us and for Roxanne as she's starting in this role to meet some people who the beautiful thing that I've met about all the people involved in brownfield development is they're so excited to be helpful. We're kind of all in this together. So I think there will be some good resources for Roxanne. So I'll be good.
Don't forget about Brian Anderson.
Oh.
National Bridge Brownfield Grants.
Yes.
I've got money signs all over that guy's name.
And
And he says he's the money guy, I'm like, noted.
He's so nice and he's come to our office twice already, once to sit with just us. And then another time he came back to talk with Grace on some of our shared projects and he really is very interested in helping. He's a fantastic resource and just all around a nice guy. Must be a requirement for working at National Grid.
No, come on.
That's we're so biased because my grandfather was retired from us.
Alright, in any case, it's fun.
My mom's
Now,
like,
okay,
Jerry, my mom still has his flashlight. My mom. So that's exciting. The other exciting news that we had is the project and site development committee met recently and we told you that Roxanne sort of like created a matrix. Well, she presented this and then just by dumb luck, Christian Mercurio who's the senior regional director of property and site development for the ESD. And he happened to come to our office that day and our meeting ended when we had to leave to go to this meeting, so we're like, hey, come on. And he really, everything that Roxanne showed him, it accidentally meshed with the way that New York State grant funding moves. So it's gonna be a really nice compliment to Roxanne's project that she's working on, so I'm gonna let Roxanne take a moment and share what she's been working on.
I don't know if we have it in this board.
Do you want to present it, or do you just wanna talk?
I can just talk, I don't, it doesn't much matter, but we came up with an actual problem statement, which helps with the planning in my crazy brain. But I've basically taken all the information that's already been gathered and kind of organized it in a way that made sense for decision making. So there's 6 phases, the first phase is more like strategy and criteria, and then it goes into like a property site, and then it goes into technical due diligence, but if there, like I say, there's 6 phases with decision weeks at the bottom of each, with the intention of building to the next one. Couple different reasons for that, one is risk mitigation, another one is to make sure that we're making good decisions at the end of it. If the timeline works out, as I hope it to, we should have a shovel ready site by March of next year. Christian is a wealth of information, I've got some information from him that will help us identify specific properties for like industries, I'll put it that way. So hopefully at the end of it, we'll have a pretty fine-tuned process that we can employ for all properties that come through here, just so that the information is faster in your face, so we can connect dots faster and make wiser financial decisions.
And the other thing that he told us was there's 2 channels that we can use to help us decide on properties. One is with Steve Hunt that you know from ESD, We can do a strategic plan feasibility study on some properties, but then we can also do the track C with infrastructure, so. We'll use the Comoy study, first of all, who has that to talk about what it is that we've decided our needs are for Lewis County. And these channels that will send these through will ask all of the questions that Roxanne is asking of properties to say, well, this property here, we thought we might use it for this, but once it gets through the channels, and that would be the needs for gas, electric, or water, sewer, all of that stuff. Or depending on the type of soil that it is, we might be like, well, no, you can't use it for this, you have to use it for this instead. Or a property that we might think is not very desirable may actually be our number one site. And the beautiful thing about these is if we send it through Christian's channels and Steve's channels, there's funding available. Some are 80% they fund, some others are 90% they fund. So it makes it much more affordable for us, and with the support of the state, makes it much more feasible for us and support it. So that's some pretty exciting stuff, and the thing that I was really most excited about for Roxanne was this is the first big thing that she's done with us like this. And through the whole meeting, Christian sat back with his arms folded, and every time anybody asked a question, he referred them back to Roxanne because she really was on the right track, and it was exciting for me to say.
It was exciting for me too, so like.
He was so happy for her. Yeah, he was just like, listen to her, listen to her. So that was exciting, and I was really happy for you. It was a beautiful job, Roxanne, and I know like it's been all consuming for her, but she was in a matter of a couple of weeks, really nailed this process. And we can share that one pager, we can mail that out to everybody, but it was exciting to see.
The color coded and all.
Color coded and all.
I did see the side that said generated by ChatGPT.
I mean, it's a great tool.
Just kidding, no, it's fantastic, it's really well done.
That's all.
Is that it?
Yes.
Couple things, just because it came up yesterday. I did receive a call from John Magny regarding the Redemption Center. He is waiting to get just a touch more information, but it does sound like it's possibly progressing in the right direction, Jess. So that conversation is still open. If he does decide to move forward on selling that, he also has a commercial property over on number 4 road, he said he would be unloading, so. Something once that conversation moves forward, looping Roxanne in to see how can we assist, maybe not IDA, but Nationally Lewis assist in kind of making connections for him for potential commercial uses on that space. And then MPI, just so the board is aware, they are still waiting for the final permitting from DEC in the town before we order that equipment. We did have a bit of contention from McRez following our last board meeting, it was the day after. It's always either the day after or last minute before, it seems, but he wanted an extension on his sales tax exemption to be greater than a year. Didn't bring that up though until everything was filed. Kind of had to talk him off of a cliff of being angry because he doesn't want to pay the attorney fees for an extension on that. And I kind of just said, the year standard, if you wanted something else, we needed to know ahead of time to get board approval for an extension beyond our standard 12-month period. But if you did want to change it, there would be attorney fees. It's not something simple that we can just write an okay on and extend it for him. So right now, he emailed me just before this meeting. The last we had talked about this, I said, let's just wait till fall. If you definitely need it extended so that you can take full advantage of it, then we can bring it up then. But you would have to pay the fees for that extension. But he just emailed me ahead of time, again, probably about an hour ago, that he thinks it should be extended. He's not going to use it all. He doesn't want to have to pay attorney fees, etc. for this. So I'm just making you all aware right now of that going on in the background on this.
Okay. Nothing needs to be done about it right now.
No, just more of an informational.
Maybe he'll come down and come to some sort of sense.
Right, I mean, he has a lot of things he's gonna be spending money on this next 6 months is what I said, so I said by fall, you feel you
Maybe,
need that extended,
right.
then let's talk about it then.
There's no way around it, that's just what it is, it's not
It's what it is.
like what?
Yeah, and I did stress to him, because I know it's been stressed before, like having your own attorney representation in
Right.
this would have saved a lot of time and
Sure thing.
money for everybody if it just would have been,
And maybe just being timely about it,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I get it, it's super stressful, I
Yeah.
understand that, but.
So yeah, just more informational, and I'll keep you posted as anything else develops on that.
Okay. Harris training?
I think you already did that. right?
Okay.
Oh, was that for the ABO compliance stuff? Oh, I was only Paris training, you guys were doing ABO training, right?
I did ABO training.
I think it was accidentally left on there
Okay.
last night.
Did we already discuss the DRI or no?
We're just continuing to plug along on
Got
that.
it, okay.
No alarms, no.
Okay. What I did, is there an update on second place? That's the caught up? You mentioned a little bit.
Right, so I received about 3 weeks ago now, 2 property payments.
Okay,
They have until May to start making payments on the equipment.
okay, that's right.
Yeah, so we wanted them to be caught up on property by then as well.
Okay,
I know they, through LCDC, they received some of the Launch Lewis County funding to kind of upscale, to have more opportunity for just sales in general with bottling, right?
They're purchasing some small scale equipment, furniture,
Okay.
some inventory to keep brewing.
okay.
We're getting some of, but it's reimbursement based, so they have to purchase everything up front.
Understood, that's the $15,000, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're making progress and the communication has been much more
Okay.
regular.
Yeah, I had a decent, long conversation with him about it. He indicated everything was more positive now, and they're in the black.
Yeah.
So to be the red, so
Yeah.
I'm hoping, yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe that the board obviously wants him to succeed more than anything.
Right, yeah.
But there's gotta be communication.
I think him leaving his full-time position and
Yeah.
really focusing
Which I
on
think
this
makes
has been
sense.
a game changer. If you can't run a business when you're
No.
a brewer, if you
No.
can't brew beer, so. I'm gonna stay optimistic.
Yeah,
So is he catching up or is he just not falling further behind?
He's catching up, so yes, he's getting caught up, and the conversation was, 2 property payments a month, I mean, we've given you that deferment on the equipment. But let's stay on track for this, and it sounded in the conversations and emails I had with his aunt Judy, who takes care of a lot of this, that was feasible for them to do to get caught up, so, yeah.
yeah, their event that was had, Jess, was very positive for them. And also, I think the mug sales have generated quite a bit of revenue, so. It's good.
Yeah, you're doing a rocket
Creative, I mean, I see all that stuff.
No, it's definitely,
It's great, I mean, wish you've been doing it the whole time.
Yeah.
I know, did you buy a mug?
I haven't been there.
You're not helping the community.
Haven't done there either.
Jerry, I have a new blog.
What?
I thought,
There's like 2 left,
I say we're buying, so we're buying.
there's 2 left.
perfect, if you need help designing it out.
Yeah, Ben's got one over there.
I do.
Yeah, good, yep, I do too, we're looking at community.
But you call me out.
It's just you leading, but.
I'll get the one.
I haven't been there either.
Next side.
Ice here, just showing you his own mug.
Yeah.
Anything else, guys?
One more thing.
Yes.
I feel is most important. Today is Jenna's last IUA meeting. And I would like to publicly thank her for everything, blood, sweat and tears, literally, she's offered and given willingly to Naturally Lewis and the Lewis County community. I'd like to thank you for everything, and in true Jenna form, she is leaving us with a wealth of resources for us to use for training a new person and for ourselves and all of you. So thank you, Jenna, for everything.
Yeah,
We are.
the common competence will be missed.
Mhm.
Yeah, but yeah, it's really, thank you, I mean, I've been here years with Jenna. Yeah, I get so scared when anybody competent, and all we have is competent people leave. But we managed to do, thanks to you, with the hiring of the new, it's wonderful, but it's super scary, just so you know. You're causing a lot of anxiety. You need-
Herself.
I know, it's a big challenge, so you know, we wish you well, thank you very much.
We know that we're very excited for her and her family and the business and to see where she is, and I say this publicly, but I really mean it. Naturally, Lewis is so good at what we do, we have accidentally coached our staff out to be bigger and better for themselves. And Jenna is just one more shining example of that, so well done, Jenna. We are going to have, because we didn't have a holiday party, we are going to have a celebration at Loose Lanes, for the board and Jenna. And another person who has decided she doesn't have a public recognition, who is also leaving us soon. So we'll be sending the invitation out for that soon, so we hope that you'll all join us and bring your spouse and it'll be the bowling alley, so kids, if you want to. You wanna have just families we bring people to the table, and that's what we'd like to do here to celebrate all of you and all of us. So thank you to Jenna, and we wish you the best of luck. And she will be back, she needs a little breather, but we'll see her at events. And then we'll go to the immersion tour, we'll go over there and maybe you'll come with.
Maybe I'll just buy a mug to see you there.
You guys always saw my son.
There are exclusive events just for mug people.
I read that, except I'm not.
Wow.
That's a club.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mug club, you get discounted beer, that's the problem, I don't.
what kind of a big deal right now?
Yeah. You should have your own jacket, it's like.
Three of us are. That's the longest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, do you have a mug?
No, I don't.
I'm glorious.
I have a mug.
Come on,
Yeah.
Jess.
I don't like craft beer.
I don't even grab with
Who
you.
cares, man, get a mug.
We sold wine.
I know, yeah, whiskey, wine. Oh my god,
I like Bud Light, I'm terrible.
you have that, don't you? Yes.
I could drink Bud Light.
It's probably like 8 of them in a mug. Alright, guys, if there's nothing else, take a motion to adjourn. Herb,
I'll talk about
Jess, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for your meeting.
It sounds like a prerequisite to be on the IDA needs to be a great part of
Yeah. Really good. Yes, that's.
Yeah, you have a mug
Yeah.
required.
It's the best way to know that you care about.